Welcome, everybody. Um, Welcome to tonight's meeting. Today is a reception for reflection for the Advocacy Network Cohort 3. My name is Yagneris Garcia, and I'm the Director of Communications for Strategies for Children. And I will be going over housekeeping notes. So, welcome again. Follow along with the virtual program. I will post it in the chat. Tonight's program is being recorded for archival purposes and promotional purposes. We would love to see your faces, but if you prefer, you can keep your camera off. Please make sure that your mic is muted when you are not speaking. While I record, if your mic is on, the camera will go to you, and you probably won't be the one speaking. So just to avoid that awkwardness, please keep your mics muted. Tonight is a celebration. Post your congratulatory messages and well wishes in the chat for our Advocacy Network Cohort 3. Thank you. And just to kick us off, we are going to hear from Jade Oliver.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our reception for reflection. I'm Jade Oliver. I'm an early childhood advocate here in Boston, and it's so great to see everyone on. I'm going to start off with what we do in each session at the start of our get to know each other is a question. And if we all can just answer in the chat after I ask the question, and I will answer or read out aloud if you allow me to afterwards. So we thought we start with our icebreaker question, which is if you could be a child forever in age, what would it be and why? And so if you can go right ahead and write what age you want to be forever in the chat, that'd be great. I know for me, my favorite age would be 13 years old. I remember being in Michigan at my great grandmother's house, no bills, nothing to do, just running around, just being a kid. So I'd want to be 13 forever.
So we're hearing from a couple of folks in the chat. Alyssa says that she would want to be 11 years old, which is when she went to sleepaway camp. Christine says she would want to be 5 because 5-year-olds are invincible and capable of so much. Eugenia says she would want to be 4 because she remembers a lot of laughing and learning. Donna Danette says 11, waiting for my Hogwarts letter. I know what that's referring to, but I'm just not a Harry Potter person. Titus says 7 or 8. I think those were the most fun. Alan says 8, old enough to play and have fun, but no major worries. Siobhan says 5. She remembers wearing her favorite blue dressy dress. Latoya, oops, what's the question? Let's reiterate the question. Missy says, I would be an infant. I think the first year is an amazing year of growth, and never in our lifetime do we experience such growth. Babies are such a nice way to start people. Marcella says, 3 years old, memory of breaking my first piñata. And then just to go back, the question is, Siobhan, repeat the question. Excuse me, no. Jade, repeat the question.
If you could be one age forever as a child, what age would that be?
Caroline, currently having jealousy of my 8-year-old riding his bike around the neighborhood and meeting up with all of his friends. Vivid memories from my dad teaching me how to ride a bike on the beach and the freedom that came with it. All right. Lots and lots of feedback. I don't think we have time to go through them all, but please keep adding them to the chat because this is part of our archive.
And our next presenter will be Titus. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jade. And actually, I saw Eva in the participant list. Eva, are you with us? Are you able to come off mic and share
I
your,
can come up. I can come off mic, but I'm having a problem with my camera, unfortunately. Sorry about that.
well, that's okay. Thanks for being with us.
No problem. So my name is Eva Marks. I am currently the operations manager at Horizons for Homeless Children, and I reside in Swampscott. As we meet each month, we've learned a bit more about each other, ourselves, and our vision for early education policy and care and advocacy. And we shared our stories and experiences. What makes this opportunity unique is the access it provides us to share our ideas with those who can help make the change happen, placing ideas in front of policymakers and at least starting the conversation around our ideas. These monthly meetings provide us with a wealth of peer collaboration, and it provided us with opportunities to attend functions, for examples, attending Autism for Advocacy Day at the State House, meeting elected officials and discussing what's happening in our settings, in our classrooms and our centers. This experience also was about actively listening and discussing, working together towards a shared goal, and that's making early education thrive, not just for the children, but also for early educators as well. In my personal experience with this group, it has reunited my spark that has kind of dimmed over the years of my passion about advocating for and supporting early educators, especially coming from the classroom in the last 20 years. As in the past, I've been very involved in my town school system, as being in a school advisory committee at my children's elementary school, the PTA, the school volunteer, the library volunteer for my child's school. But as my children grew, I obviously became less involved, and this group has kind of taught me how to understand how the system works and to really advocate for what I really want to make a significant impact in the system. And I've always believed in supporting the educators in the classroom because they're the ones doing the heavy lifting, and as experience reinforces their belief while equipping them with the tools of making a difference. So, which is why my project slightly changed a little bit over the time, and making more people aware of circle of security for the parenting and the classroom approach will provide for educators with the opportunity to learn more and implement by also providing the bringing the parents into the fold and working with the child as a team. And I'd like to take this moment and introduce Titus.
Thanks so much, Eva.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name's Titus Das Remedius. I'm the Deputy Director at Strategies for Children. And, you know, stories like yours, Eva, are so important. This can't be, you know, downplayed or understated. And it's something that we learn in the Advocacy Network, the power of our stories. You know, in advocacy, data and research are very important, but just as important are stories. Your stories as early childhood professionals have great power, hopefully for yourself, right? First and foremost, just that empowerment of knowing your story, telling it, you know, improving it over time, and sharing it with others in your community, your program. And these stories have the power to influence policy and policymakers, as we've seen time and again, including from people in this cohort. So I want to thank everyone in Cohort 3 for sharing their stories with us at Strategies for Children. Our vision at Strategies for Children was to have this advocacy network and have it be a real force for change, an infrastructure for the whole state, and a better, stronger way to kind of support advocates and support advocacy efforts at the local and state level. We started 3 years ago. And Marissa, if you could go forward in the next slide, we have here cohort 1 was only 7 individuals. We were fortunate to get a 3-year grant from the Boston Children's Hospital's Collaboration for Community Health Initiative, which has allowed us to have an advocacy network over 3 years. And you'll see these 7 stars grow in cohort 2. So go to the next slide, please, Marissa. And that's the power of 1 plus 2. And please, one more slide, Marissa, and you will see 3 cohorts growing little by little each year. We're up to 29 alumni now, including Cohort 3. And we are thrilled that our project funder, Boston Children's, approved our grant proposal for another 4 years of the Advocacy Network. So, in 4 more years, think of how many more stars will be on this map. We'll probably need a different slide or a different map tool. But thank you all for just hearing a little bit about the origin of the Advocacy Network. We know the future is bright for this program. Thanks to you all here tonight, including our friends and allies and partners. And so now I want to turn the microphone over to someone in Cohort 3, Caroline Gillis. You can learn more about our work.
Thank you, Titus. I'm Caroline Gillis. I'm a regional manager with Bright Horizons and proudly part of Advocacy Network Cohort 3. I want to share a little bit how, as part of my experience, I was able to further my passion with working with the community. And I don't know if Titus could have given a better introduction to what my project and work was, because it really was about elevating voices and the impact that stories on the operational level can have. I think for many of us, when you work in early childhood, you don't just work for your current company or your silos of your position and role, but it really is everybody in early childhood. And it's a tight-knit community that I think only got more appreciation through the 930 call from Strategies for Children, which is how I learned about the Advocacy Network and had that unifying approach with the providers across the Commonwealth. So for part of my project over the last year, it was called Voices from the Field. And it was really an opportunity that started probably back last winter of celebrating the successes of the C3 operational grants and ways that providers were able to utilize those across the field, and celebrating the many diverse different ways that providers were using those. And I was able to speak to a variety of different providers across the Commonwealth, but also gave me the opportunity to really put myself out there and expand my network and try to take different opportunities to go to meetings by Chamber of Commerce or go to different listening sessions and make some social network outreaches to different providers and just hear their stories. I think as we all learned with the budget this year, Voices from the Field and the C3 grants took a little bit of a shift in the spring, and I started to talk to different providers who felt a little bit of fear over operational grants. And so, of course, the project shifted a little bit as we just started learning and adjusting to what the next year and what the permanency of these grants were going to look like. And so, with every project comes reflection, right? And I think for me, it was a really good opportunity to do what I set out to do, right? It was a great opportunity to expand my network, to get to know a lot of other providers, understand the unique challenges and experiences that they have in their education departments and with their childcare and their families and their educators. But it was also an opportunity for me to really reflect on the greater advocacy across the Commonwealth. And so it was nice to be able to speak on behalf of others at different listening sessions to help with public comments with the Macy Public Policy Group, and really just reflect on the unifying trends across the state right now. So I look forward to continuing it and helping raise awareness and elevating everyone's voices. I am going to pass it over to Jaylise now, who's the program assistant.
Thank you, Caroline. So hi, everyone. My name is Jaylise LeBlanc, and I am the program assistant for the Advocacy Network at Strategies for Children. This is my second year working with the Advocacy Network. It's been lovely. It's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. But before I was working with the Advocacy Network, I was an early educator for about 10 years, mostly in preschool classrooms. And, each year I am amazed by the wonderful work that everyone does. We can check out the next slide. And on the next slide, you will see kind of the work that the cohort has been doing. This is really a brief look at what they've been doing. Everyone can kind of take a minute to look. This is excluding online things, the blogs, the social media, the testimonials, the sign-on letters. I think Titus will talk about that all a little bit later, and this is just kind of what their projects were about. And I was wondering if we could spare a couple minutes to see if anyone would like to come off mute and just talk about their project a little bit and give a little bit of a summary. We would love to hear from the advocates a little bit more.
I don't mind. I
Go ahead.
have actually finally the survey launched this week. So I'm
Yay.
doing a survey of family child care providers to get an understanding of what they're looking for in terms of information and services with the plan to create. Originally it was going to be a one pager, but it's looking maybe like a website now of where to go and where you can find who has what information. So who, what, where.
I love that. Thank you. Maybe we can hear from one more person if anyone is feeling bold and brave.
I'll go. My project came towards, I'm Siobhan Drayton, by the way. Sorry, guys. I introduced myself fully later in the program. But my project will be creating a policy brief as I continue my research around early education and childhood outcomes and how it's associated and connected with housing insecurity and really housing segregation within the state of Massachusetts. So that is ongoing research, and I'm excited to continue to write my brief.
Thank you so much.
It
I
also
think
looked like Harold and Paula came off mute.
yeah, I was gonna say I think we have time for a couple more people, and we'll still be good with our run of show.
Of
Paula
course.
and Harold.
We created a WhatsApp community and group called Eco Latino to support and disseminate information in Spanish of our field to those educators that maybe they're not fluent in English and they're behind and getting all the information. It's so important, like the trainings that we get, the different things from EAC. And we started with about 7 people, and so far we're now in 62. So we started in February, and we're doing very good. We already have met a couple of them, and it's a very active group. So thank you for the Advocacy Network to pushing us to do all this.
That's amazing. Thank you. And I think we have time for one more, actually.
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah.
So I was part of my project was around creating a community of practice around early relational health. And it started out of an abundance of curiosity around like what's happening in the classroom with these big behaviors and big feelings that we're seeing in the classroom that are actually burning teachers out. And so I had a conversation with a good friend from Neighborhood Villages where we were like, well, why don't we just start a COP and start thinking about how we can, tackle this within the neighborhood, which are the 5 centers within Neighborhood Villages. And we met a few times and, kind of thought about what that meeting would consist of. And it seems that now we have Neighborhood Villages has hired a early relational health director. And so those meetings will continue under her guidance and her leadership when once she gets the ground running. So really excited about seeing what comes out of this project.
Love that. That's great work, and thank you for sharing. So next, we will talk about our guests and inspiration. So Missy, you are up next. Can you reflect on what guest speakers inspired you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Missy Targic, and I'm an educator and family resource specialist at the Youth Center in the beautiful Berkshires. And over the year, we've had guest speakers at our meetings, and we've had amazing guest speakers. And I would love for my fellow advocates to maybe put in the chat what some of their most memorable and guest speakers that they can kind of let us know, what they've had. But there was so many amazing guest speakers, and one of the guest speakers that stood out, Secretary Tutwiler, came on and spoke to us, and he had so much to say. But I think more than what he had to say, it was the way he was able to connect with us and the way that he was responsive after the meeting. When I sent an email to Secretary Tutwiler afterwards, he, took the time to respond pretty quickly afterwards. And I think for me, as with, you know, a lot of the guests and a lot of the folks that we interact with, it's just really been important for us to know and learn that, you know, our elected officials are folks that represent us, that are serving us, you know, are approachable and are people that are just people, and that, you know, we need to make sure that we're reaching out and that we're connecting, and that they want to hear from us, and that we have a voice. And so it was just reinforcing and really great to have that chance to connect with Secretary Tutwiler, and then to email him afterwards and have him respond and, you know, share that kind of connection after our meeting. So it just it was, you know, it was just reinforcing, and that, you know, showing us as advocates that we do need to connect with, you know, our elected officials, and do need to connect with folks in Boston and make our voices heard and develop these relationships and our connections. So I think that's been a big part of this journey for me, and, you know, I think for my fellow advocates in this. So it definitely has been wonderful in that way. So I can see, you know, that Paula and Harold also said Secretary Tutwiler and Senator Kennedy was here with us tonight. So that's great. So yeah, thank you all. And I want to introduce Cherish.
Hi, so my name is Cherish Casey. I am a family engagement social worker at Ellis Early Learning, and I live in Jamaica Plain. And so meeting with Senator Robin Kennedy was just so humble. She is so humble, and it was just such an amazing experience. Just piggybacking off what Missy said, is that, you know, when we meet with our legislators, it shows us that our voices matter. We do have power, and that they are approachable and they do want to hear from us. And so coming from the background of being an early educator myself, where I didn't always know that my voice had power, just being able to be in this advocacy network and seeing so many people reaching for to become advocates and know that they can advocate for change is just amazing. And so when meeting with Senator Robin Kennedy, you know, we talked about our concerns. It was like sitting around at your dinner table with your family and just having a conversation and about the issues and concerns that are closest to your heart. And so we talked about our concerns, we talked about our dreams, we talked about our passions. And something that I thought was very beautiful is that Senator Robin Kennedy is really big on making sure that we're uplifting the early child care workforce. And she was so passionate about speaking about that, and really wants us to be seen in the same light as K through 12 teachers and educators. And notice I keep saying educators, we're not babysitters. And so she, even just to sit there and hear her say that was just so moving. And then I believe Paula and Harold also asked a question around their concerns about C3 funding cuts. And Missy talked about wanting to bridge the gap between DCF and EEC, because there's like this breach in communication that can happen. And you know, it was just powerful. And I hope others get a chance to experience experiences, especially, like, I would love to see teachers be able to just sit down with their legislators and know that they have a voice, you know, and that they are not just educators, that their legislators want to hear from them. And so I Advocacy Network for giving us this opportunity to see that our voices matter.
Thanks so much, Cherish. And here's a list of all of our guest presenters who we had. The monthly meetings are from October to now. So we have one per month. and interspersed throughout like our Advocacy 101 and other workshops that we provide as the staff. We really rely on help from our guest speakers from, in this case, we had Secretary Tutwiler, as has been mentioned, the Healy Driscoll administration, and we have Commissioner Kershaw here tonight. Hello, Commissioner. Thank you so much, to administration officials who can just, again, we're all doing the same, have the same goals for young children and families. So to be able to make that connection with educators is really important, and advocates. Senator Robin Kennedy, who's also here. Thank you, Senator. And has been mentioned, but we really want to make sure the State House connection is made for our advocates. And we also had a federal guest speaker, Casey Peaks from the Center of American Progress, who advocates at the local, state, and national level, based in Washington, D.C. And we were thrilled to have Casey share some light on federal policy, as well as Neri Garcia, our fantastic communications director, helping with our elevator pitch. And now I will turn over to Evelyn to talk about our why. Evelyn, over to you.
Hey everybody, my name is Evelyn Desla and I work at Child Care Circuit and I've been there for about 10 years. And our why, when speaking about whys, I want to speak about my own why first, because when I was introduced to this group, it was an email that my director sent, an invitation from Amy, and then Corinne, my director, she shared the email with us, and she said, feel free to sign up for this group. And I remember my first meeting, it was child care providers, center directors, FCCs, and I kind of felt that it was not my place at the beginning because, I was not working with children directly. But as the meeting started and we start talking about what everybody did, that started hitting me. And in my mind, I was, but I'm a parent. And I am the parent that received those services. I am the parent that wants to have her child in a quality childcare, in a secure place. So that's when I start understanding what is the work that the Advocacy Network. Advocacy Network has taught me that when you know what you want and when you have a cause that you are pursuing, you need to know who to talk to, who can make a difference for what you want. And also, as Sherry says, Advocacy Network has taught us that our voices matter. Like, I used to think that lawmakers were unreachable, and I was in the same meeting with the governor. I had the opportunity to speak with Secretary Tutwiler, and I was able to express how I feel and how I feel the system works for me as a parent and as a consumer of the public school services. And we also have so many other wonderful speakers, lawmakers that I see now that they can be reached. You can talk to them. They're here to listen to you. And again, my journey as working in the childcare business started. It wasn't on purpose. I started working, doing what I'm doing because I needed a job. But now, like I said many, many times, I cannot see myself doing anything else because I am using my personal experience as my best tool to advocate for those that think that they don't have voices, especially when it comes to children with special needs. And now I'm gonna pass it to Paula. She's gonna talk about the whys too. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Evelyn. Good evening, everyone. I'm Paula Andrea Echeverry Durango, educator and co-owner of Paula's Barn Child Care in Springfield, Massachusetts, an Eco-Latino co-founder. And also, I'm a co-host of the 9:30 Call at Night en Español. I'm honored to be here tonight, sharing my journey and experiences as a part of the Advocacy Network Cohort 3. When I ask myself what is my why, the answer lies in my upbringing, my struggles, and my passion for making a difference. I grew up in a family of educators in Colombia and obtained my bachelor's degree in education. And 22 years ago, I moved to the States to pursue the American dream, security, stability, and life filled with purpose and love. During this journey, I faced numerous obstacles, language barriers, lack of family support for my child, and the struggle to find childcare programs with extended hours. My personal experiences helped me to understand the challenges faced by working parents and the impact this has on our society economy. Determined to find a solution, I felt the responsibility to support families in need of quality care with flexible schedules. I pursued my passion and opened a family childcare program, Paula's Bar Inc., where I could help families like mine and children who need a nurturing environment. This is my why, my motivation to get up each day and continue doing this meaningful work. As a part of the Advocacy Network, I connected with like-minded individuals who share my passion. I appreciate Marcella Simpson for introducing me to the group. Thank you for your support and your mentorship. This passion for creating a positive change in my work of the early childhood education. We bond over our shared stories, learn from each other, and found inspiration in each other's journey. My journey taught me the importance of empathy and service. As a result, I have grown as an individual, found my life purpose, and I'm now surrounded by love, not just from my son, but also from Harold, my partner who shares my vision and supports our mission. So my why is my desire to create a brighter future for all children, but also the aspiration to inspire others to may struggling to find their voice. As the music, the song that play in the beginning is Say What You Wanna Say, that make a lot of impact in all of us. As Sherry and Evelyn mentioned, we have the possibility to shine and share our voices. I want to empower those who are hesitant to speak up and share their ideas, as I believe we all have unique perspectives that can contribute to positive change in our communities. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my story and hope that my journey will inspire others to pursue their dreams and find their own why. Thank you and congratulations to all my fellow graduates. And I have the honor to introduce my business partner and husband, Harold Blanco.
Thank you, my dear wife, and thank you especially because of you, you were able to through your eyes, I can see the love of education and learn from you so much. I am Harold Blanco. I'm a co-owner of the Paula's Barn Child Care, a family child care license for 10. Also, part of this wonderful cohort, number 3 in Strategy for Children. And more thrilled even to be a co-host of the Nan Terricol en Español. We have to, and now I need to talk about my aha moment, which is Amy O'Leary's favorite question. The aha moment when you make the connection about the policy and the work that we do. And there's no other way that I can make that connection when we go out and visit the members of our Eco-Latino community, those Spanish speakers providers that are struggling to understand the whole system and learning all the different regulations and things like that. And just to be able to explain to them in simple terms and more in a language more related to them, not only the Spanish, but more related to them so they can understand how this system works and all the things that, first of all, the EEC and all these other communities around it are doing for the education for the children and for us providers. definitely making that connection, being able to help them and not make the mistakes that a lot of us made at the beginning of our journey in this. Also, I wanted to share a couple of lessons of the advocacy network experience, and one of them definitely is that when we celebrated the 6th anniversary for Paula's Bar and Childcare in April this year, we wanted to invite a couple of people and have the people that help us grow to what we are today. But it's starting with the parents, of course, but we wanted to bring the mentorship like Marcella Simpson and some other people. We brought the all of you folks from Strategies for Children. But the real experience once being in this advocacy network open our eyes and making the connection and being able to bring the people that will help us not only get to where we were, but moving forward. So we started to be able to make those connections and Strategies for Children, Titus and Amy and all of you help us to make those connections and even craft the messages to invite those people here. That's definitely an experience that I will never forget, and I will celebrate the success of that celebration of that anniversary. Thank you for your advice. And also the other lesson that I got, and this is thinking about now the elevator pitch that we were taught by Neri at the beginning of all this, was just to be ready, because you never know when you're gonna meet somebody important, some senator, some politician, some elected official that you can approach them. So have that elevator pitch ready. And for us, and I know I'm speaking for Paula too, it's being aware of what's going on all the time and try to understand everything so we're ready when we get that opportunity in front of us. The funny part is that when we went to last week's session of the task force here in Springfield, we arrived to the place and we saw a sign-up sheet and we just signed our names thinking that everybody that it's there should sign up. And the funny part is we were the first two. So I thought it was like another first branding sheet, because there was already about 50 people by the time that we arrived there. That sheet was for the first speaker, for the first person that was going to be asking questions to the task force. So you can imagine how Paula, when we realized that we were the first one on that, Paula and I were like, okay, we got to be ready. We are ready. We know what we want to say. We know our concerns. We understand how our Eco-Latino community is struggling, how we as a family child care providers are struggling. And this is what we want to tell them. And we were able to be ready just because of all the knowledge that we have acquired being part of this wonderful group. So thank you very much. And now it's Christine Ashman.
Christine, you're on mute. Christine, unmute.
Maybe once out of the whole year I could manage. Every time. Hi, I'm Christine Ashman. I am an early childhood education coach for Neighborhood Villages. I've been there since April, and I live in Brooklyn. So I'm also answering the prompt that Harold did about the aha moment. And yes, and how our work connects to policy. And it wasn't actually an aha moment. I had to think about it. And I thought, actually, my job is how it connects, because the education coach, the idea of having highly qualified educators providing quality childcare is a direct result of all the advocacy we've been doing for the last 30 years. Like, this is it. Like, yes, we are educators, not babysitters, and that the teachers deserve to be treated like educators and to develop their skills. And then so two things I've learned. And Titus took mine, and then Evelyn also echoed it, I think. So, like, this is how important this is, but our voices matter. And I had always thought, oh, it was the research and the numbers that would make the difference. But we keep hearing that it's your stories, our stories, are what connects the legislators to the issue, to what's going on, makes it real. And then you've all heard this, but I was able to attend the NACI Public Policy Institute through Strategies for Children. And I realized we're not alone, that there's a whole network of people out there studying every aspect of policy, of childcare, and researching it and influencing policy. And that was nice to see that it is bigger than us. And unlike our podcast at Neighborhood Villages, no one's coming to save us. I felt like maybe they are, or maybe we've got some help anyway. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine. It's so great to be here. I'm Amy O'Leary. I'm the Executive Director at Strategies for Children, and I'm joining you from the West Coast, so it's only 4:18 here. I'm on vacation, but had to be here tonight. So we just want to reiterate all the things we've heard about our belief at Strategies for Children, that we all need opportunities to learn and practice. And you've heard some of those highlights and to see that in action. We've seen that our members of the Advocacy Network and our alumni leverage opportunities, move out of their comfort zones, taking risks but beyond our monthly meetings, coming to our 9:30 call, being featured on our blog, asked to be joined panels, developed talking points and testimony, wrote the letters to the editor. And I think you'll hear more about the cohort itself, about the learning community that has been created, and about just how incredible their support for each other has been. We had an opportunity to be together in Polar Park when we had a meeting of the early childhood agenda, and it was just incredible to see them see each other in person, because our year-long experience is virtual, but we think that also provides equity across the state, and we probably can get to more people that way. So we just wanted to share some of the numbers so you can kind of see what we're talking about here when we think about our advocacy network. So in 3 years of our advocacy network, we've generated 217 total training hours with our monthly meetings, one-on-one support sessions, which Jalise and Titus have been doing with each advocate, 4 small group sessions, 183 individuals engaged by our cohort. So many of them are doing their own advocacy trainings, their activities, their projects, 98 advocacy testimonies, including 37 other activities to engage in policymakers, 51 new speaking and leadership roles, serving on boards, advisories, giving presentations, and 31 media appearances. News articles, our blog, the 9:30 call, and Instagram takeovers. So as you register tonight, we will send you a follow-up email with all of our links so you can check them out in action. One of our biggest parts is making sure that you are hearing their voice and not just the voices of the staff and the team from Strategies for Children. So I would now like to introduce Emily O'Brien, who will talk more about her voice.
Thank you, Amy. Hi, my name is Emily O'Brien. I'm a former educator. I previously taught pre-K in Somerville Public Schools and also Charlestown Nursery School. And I'm currently living in Watertown. My experience in the Advocacy Network has just been wonderful. I've learned so much about what it means to be an advocate for early education. And I think the most helpful part of being a part of the Advocacy Network has been the connections that I've made from connecting with the guest speakers in our Advocacy Network calls, from the 9:30 call speakers, to the members in our Advocacy Network and the alum. I think one of the most meaningful connections for me was through my advocacy project. And for my advocacy project, I did a social media post to share the voices of children, caregivers, educators on high quality early education and what those experiences mean and how important they are for children. And so I connected with an alum through the Advocacy Network who also did her own social media project. And she kind of gave me insight around like what went well, what didn't, what she would recommend to try. And so like that connection was really meaningful. And then throughout the course of my project, I was supported and got connected with other alumni from the Advocacy Network who shared their stories with me, and I was able to post their stories to the social media account as well. The Instagram page is called Inspire Early Education if you want to follow. I'm continuing to post stories and hope to share more from our educators, children, and everyone involved in the early ed community. I also think another big takeaway for me was that our voices matter and like sharing our voices. And I think it's so important to share our story because when you share your own story, you inspire other people to share their stories as well. And I've just been so inspired by my time here in this process in the Advocacy Network. And I just want to say thank you to the Strategies for Children team and all the Advocacy Network members as well. So thank you so much. And with that, I would like to pass it on to Lori.
Thank you so much, Emily. It is so exciting to be here this evening with all of you as we celebrate and culminate our year's work of work. When I started the Advocacy Network, I was also starting a new job. And one of the first meetings that we had in the fall, Titus or Jaleesa shared the African proverb, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. Well, that is one that I've kept with me, not only through this position and the Advocacy Network, but also as the new hub coordinator for the Mather Elementary School. I spent a lot of this network experience wishing I was still in early childcare. I think it was wasted energy because like my project, I had to shift gears. My project initially started, I am located in Randolph, so I live in Randolph, and I wanted to do something here to connect and bring together the family childcare network that is here but invisible, so to speak. I have grandchildren that may need to access childcare now. And so I really wanted this to be an opportunity for me to bring them together, have conversations, provide them resources. I have a wealth of supplies from my 30 odd years in early education, and I wanted to give them those nuggets and those treasures. I knocked on doors. I did a lot of phone calls, I tried going to the town hall, trying to gather information about, is there a place I can start? And I came up empty. I don't think it was only for lack of that's not happening here, but lack of my role being split, because I live here in Randolph, but I work in Boston. So most of my day where I could be doing all that knocking on the door or visiting, I wasn't even here in my own town. So in early spring, I became overwhelmed and challenged, and I cannot praise and thank Jaleesa enough, because she was such a champion for me. She was rooting me on, she was lifting me up, she was encouraging me, even when I was just feeling like I wasn't doing enough or doing much. But I shifted gears and changed my project into connecting early childcare programs and family childcare programs in Boston to our schools. I work in the Boston public school system. Why not make a bridge to something that the work that I'm currently doing that makes sense for all of those preschoolers that are going to be going to kindergarten? So I just thought it was important that even though we have countdown to kindergarten, I think when schools make those relationships with centers and family childcare providers personally, that they're willing to even take a step further. I wanted myself and the other community schools to welcome the families to come to African American Heritage Assembly, so that they can come in and see how children display their learnings at an event. Bring them into an open house. Let them come and enjoy music with the class as a visitor in our schools, so that their first time in public school isn't their first time being a kindergartner. And when you build those relationships, it can hopefully lessen the turnover, well, not turnover, but the commitment that families have for kindergarten, because a lot of families don't feel like their child has to have to go to school and when they're 3, 4, and 5. But when we have those relationships, they may want to. And so that's my goal. My project is going to be ongoing. I will keep it moving because it's my work and it's good work. And I think that hopefully you'll hear more about it in more schools are welcoming students and preschoolers right into the public school system or private, either way. I just wanted to also echo and thank Christine and Evelyn and Cherish for talking about educators having their voice and speaking to the legislators and not being afraid of the suit, right? We elected them, we put them there. They are you. You could one day be that elected official that we're walking up to and saying, come on, we need more money. So it was an honor to sit amongst you all because your energy, your enthusiasm for this work, to be in the network, the husband and wife duo, you guys just floor me every time. You guys are just great. I love you, Paula and Harold. I can't wait to hear more about you and what you're doing for the Spanish community. But everyone here has just poured so much into me that I am, of course, sad that I'm not running and hitting the ground and pavement with you every day, but I am alongside you in working at the next step, at the next level of education for our young children. So thank you, Advocacy Network. I'm honored to have been a member and part of the third cohort. And I have the pleasure of introducing Siobhan, who again, I admire for all the work that she has done. And I'll let her share her project, but I'm just proud of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori. Good evening, everyone. I am Siobhan Drayton. I'm the Director of Early Education and Assessment at Horizons for Homeless Children. And I live here in the city, born and raised in Roxbury. I get to share with you all what the impact of this network will be on system changes for our state. And first, I just want to say it must be divine intervention, the way this whole group works, because Lori, there is something that you had shared that I will touch upon about us being the next officials. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. because I want to share how excited I am that there has been approval for continued funding for this network. It is amazing, amazing, amazing that there are another 4 years that this opportunity for additional individuals will be able to have and really spread their wings, extend their knowledge on advocacy, the ways to go about it, and the pathway that they can get to really having the space of sharing their voices, and knowing that change will happen. So that was my one thing I wanted to say previous to what I think the impacts will be. My first point would be that this advocacy network allows for a fresh perspective. It allows for individuals that, you know, educators that wouldn't typically think that they have a space within the advocacy world, that they actually do. So many times tonight you've heard how educators now feel like they have a voice. And we were just what, a group of 12, 13 that now have this realization, that have absolutely, I know you guys have shared these opportunities with people that you work with, gone to events that really showcase highlighting our voices and our stories and our experiences within the field. So that is one way I think the impact of this network having fresh perspectives. The second way would be a true pipeline and pathway into the field of policymaking and official advocacy. I was at an event where Commissioner Kershaw shared something that is still sticking with me, and how she shared that policy is different from politics. And so many of us, you know, I know at least with those that I encompass myself with, always want to steer away from politics. We don't like it, it's messy. But there's such a difference between policy work and politics to where there's still a space for you. So I do think that this network provides us all with that opportunity. And lastly, I would share that, and Titus said this earlier as well, the support within this advocacy network for all of our professional development and previous cohorts' professional development is completely unmatched. Like the cheering on from Jaylise, from Paula and Harold, from Amy, the support of this cohort has been so pivotal to me, and it's given me the opportunity to spread my wings into a new venture, that this is all new information for my colleagues in the cohort, that a direct connection between being a part of this network has afforded me the opportunity to be an approved board member on the Community Services Board at Dimmick Street. And so that is just so relative into what this group is truly about. And it is enabling us all in future advocacy network cohort members to really spread yourself across this vast field of not only early education, but policy and advocacy work within our great state of Massachusetts and throughout the nation. Because who says we're all staying in Massachusetts, right? But we have the foundation and the tools to really understand how to make systems change. And so thank you so much, Network, for allowing me this opportunity to share. I feel like I had the best question of it all, because I got to share some little personal pieces. So I will hand it over to Amy to close us out, but thank you.
Thanks so much, Siobhan, and congratulations. That's such great news to watch journey through that process. So thank you for sharing that. First, we have to thank the team at Strategies, so you can see us all. Titus, Marissa, Marge, our Director of Finance and Operations, Neri, our Director of Communications, Alyssa Haywood, our blogger who interviews each Advocacy Network participant, and Jaylise, the MVP of the Advocacy Network LeBlanc, who has really, we are so grateful to have her on our team, and her focus is on the support and just connection with our advocacy network participants. And so the next slide, and we know that the commissioner's been here and you've been very patient, and we're going to have you offer a few remarks. But before that, we sent each of the Advocacy Network participants a gift box. So if we go to the next slide, you should have seen in the gift box a handwritten note from me. And maybe go to the next slide. I wonder if they're there. It's not there. Go back to Amy K. You should have gotten a piece of puzzle, and a puzzle piece that says we all fit somewhere. So while Amy's speaking, I'll find the photo of the puzzle. Everybody got a puzzle piece that said you can do anything, because that's what we believe. I used this idea from a former student of mine who really talked about how many different ways you can contribute to supporting children and families, and it might not be the way that you thought it would be. So please keep this puzzle piece close to you. And just remember that we are with you always, and just so grateful for each of you for your experience. It's been so great to see the alum. Special shout out to Shauna for giving all that encouragement in the chat. And just for each of you, as you've heard, big exciting news, we have 4 more years of funding. The process will be opened. We want that screen with the slide of Massachusetts to expand. So Commissioner Kershaw, we'd love to say hello to you and have you offer a few words. We'll stop sharing so we can see each other. And also want to shout out, we had 2 Strategies for Children board members, Alan Pisano and former Mayor and Representative Paul Broder with us tonight. And so we're great to have them. And so Commissioner, I'll turn things over to you.
Wow, I am just like absolutely floored by this cohort. And I have been in each of them, but Amy O'Leary, your leadership, and to your board members, Marissa and the rest of the team at Strategies for Children, the impact you all are having as leaders and advocates, and sharing your voices and sharing your stories. The listening sessions, many of you have participated in those, have really given an opportunity for the power of early childhood and early childhood education, the work our educators do every day, to be seen and heard by so many across the Commonwealth. And I'm just so proud that you all do every day. You have such hard jobs and you're taking the extra time to be advocates and leaders so that you can change and alter the system. And we share that. So I have 1 seat in that system, and you have other seats in that system, which are equally as important. And the power of your voices and your advocacy and sharing the experience of your children and families and the educators that work in your programs are what is bringing the change that we have all wanted to see in this system. So please keep it up. I'm so grateful for Strategies for Children, for the 9:30 call, for the leadership and advocacy work you're doing to build the voices and share those stories in the field. It's how we're going to bring the transformation we want to see in the system. So I know it's probably hard to fit it in with your day jobs, and to be here and make this extra time. And it's incredible for me to be able to hear your voices, but now we have a much bigger audience for early education and childcare, and that's because of you and the work that you're doing and the work that Strategies has done to build leaders across the state, every corner of the state. So thank you. I'm going to get to visit Harold and Paula's program on Monday the 19th. I'm so excited. We've been hearing about it for so long. I've been at many of your other programs too. So I'm just so grateful for your partnership and to get to do this work with all of you. It is truly an honor. So have a wonderful night and keep at it. As I like to say on the 9:30 call, we need to stay together, because this is the moment when we are truly going to be able to bring the transformation to the system. And being here tonight, I couldn't feel more hopeful and sure that that's going to happen. So thank you all for everything you do, and everything you're going to continue to do. And I'm looking forward to our partnership going forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. And Senator Kennedy, since you are
and to our legislative partners, like it's just like it's all parts of government coming together with the field. It's quite remarkable.
So Senator Kennedy, I'd love to give you a few minutes, and we know that Carol from your team is here as well, and just want to thank you And then we will close this out, but Senator, I turn things to you.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm grateful to be able to be with you. And, as I remind you all, 2 years ago before this, I was the COO at an early education and care center. And the week I left to dedicate full time to the campaign, I was in a classroom, in a few classrooms actually covering. So to each and every one of you, the path is there. That is absolutely something that I hope you all will consider, because to Commissioner Kershaw's point of there's a difference between policy and politics, and we really need good policymakers to outweigh the politics. So look forward to continuing to work with you. And as always, thank you, Strategies for Children, for lifting up the voices of the field and making sure that they're always centered. And I'm grateful to continue the conversation with you. So thank you. And certainly our partners. I'm so grateful for many years of getting to work with Commissioner Kershaw in a few different roles, and look forward to continuing the work with all of you. So we're in it together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. We know, and the commissioner said this, everyone's got a full-time job on top of what we're doing between 6:30 and or 6 and 7:30, and then tonight for the reception. So just as Neri put in the chat, well, if you've registered, we're going to send a follow-up email. You'll be able to see the slides and more information. We will most likely do a follow-up of the 3 cohorts and kind of where are they now and their projects and what they've continued to work on. So SFC team, anything else I forgot? All right, let's keep the love and appreciation coming in the chat. As you know, we'll keep the chat and send it to the folks. But thank you so much for joining us here tonight, and get ready for cohort 4 that will be starting in September. Have a great night. Thanks for being here.